Welcome to IoTTrailblazerPodcast. I'm your host Ritu Mandal. Today's episode is titled Signs of the Future, where global trends meet India's innovation. We have been joined by somebody who's referred to as the global guru for digital signages, Mr. Florian Rotber, Managing Director at Invidis Consulting and co-owning Global Digital Summits. Florian, welcome to the show. So good to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's a huge honor, and guru sounds almost a little bit too much, but we're in India, so I guess that's okay.
No, but you are referred to as that. We have heard a lot about you, and so good to have you here.
Well, thanks for having me. Thanks.
Florian, before we get into the industry trends, let's rewind a little bit. Since you have worn multiple hats in this industry, right from leading, organizing summits, consulting, so you have a lot of knowledge about how this whole evolution has happened. So how has your experience really been in this industry? And the second thing is, where do you see India as compared to the global markets as of today?
Good. Well, we started in 26, so that's almost 20 years ago now. And that time, the flat panels were just coming to the market. So at most TVs were still, clunky CRT TVs. And so that was really the breakthrough for digital signage at that time. 20 years later, we're in a different world nowadays. So flat screens are everywhere. We see LED is coming much more important, especially in India, lots of LED, much more than screens. And digital signage is becoming smarter and more engaging. So that's where we are. So you asked me about India, where it's India compared to the rest of the world. Some of the installations in India are already world-class. If you look at the breadth of installations, there's still some room for improvement.
Yes, I completely agree that India has a lot of catching to do when it comes to signages. But there is an advantage to being a laggard adopter. The reason being that we have seen it all, what works, what doesn't work. These are the insights that have really helped us know what are the innovations, what are the technologies that are helping, and basis that we can, deploy these technologies in a manner without less investments, because we don't have the older generation technologies deployed. So the cost is minimalistic.
Yeah.
But you know what, I'll tell you, there's something that we did when we talk about Jio, when we talk about this 4G revolution. We were the 155th data consumption country in the world in the list, and today we stand being the largest one. That's something that Jio has really done it big, and we do see that these are the same things we're going to do in the digital services space, especially when we talk about digital signages. Now we would want to understand from you, what are these 2 or 3 things that we should really do so that we can overtake the global markets and really emerge as a major player.
I think the main benefit is you're starting on a green field, right? So you don't have to do the mistakes. So one of them is definitely you start with AI directly, like cloud native AI, 2 things, which you need to have in digital signage nowadays. And I think you can start directly with this one, including it from the beginning. That helps a lot. Secondly, you need to look at service and manageability, because digital signage is often business critical. So you cannot afford a black screen, right? So make sure that everyone uses professional hardware, a professional software, remote device management to really know if a screen is running or not, and make sure from the beginning that the concept is developed around a B2B business critical concept. And if you start with AI, if you do connectivity, immersive content, if you use professional hardware and a very good digital signage software, I think then you're on a good track to overtake almost everyone.
Exactly, that's what even Jio truly believes, that when we get all of these multiple technologies together, we can really build something really great. What we have done is that we have integrated deep learning, computer vision, IoT sensors, analytics driven data, all of these into digital signages, and then we are deploying it. So I want to understand from you, do you have any such global examples where we have extensively used all of these technologies together?
Many projects, and one is, I think, very close to your or to Mumbai heart at least, is the brightness of the screen. The LED screens. You see the LEDs, the digital out-of-home screens on the highway, right, at the expressway, And you almost cannot see them during the day because they're limited, they're not allowed to be that bright because at night they're too bright. If you include sensors, smart sensors, right, you can really censor, how bright the outside atmosphere is, and then you can, adapt brightness. So it's a very simple one, but it really shows, if you connect the screen with the environment. And I think that's so special about digital signage. Digital signage is different to mobile. Mobile, the focus of the user is just on the screen. It doesn't matter if you're on the train, it doesn't matter in your car, the user experience is always the same, 100% focus on the screen. With digital signage, place with the surrounding. It's really important. Do you have people passing by really fast? Is there high dwell time? So understanding that's really, really important. So sensors make a big difference. And I think you also have, Geo platform, with sensors. So that's exactly how you can combine signage and sensors and IoT to make a smart solution of this one.
Exactly. So Jio also truly believes that, having multiple technologies, bringing it together gives a 360-degree customer experience, which is timely, purposeful and very relevant. I want to understand from you, can you give us some examples where all of these technologies have been implemented together, like a global example?
Yeah, sure. When we talk about quick service restaurants, you have the digital menu boards, and at lunchtime it's very busy there. So what they do, they have sensors, they detect how many people are there, and then they show less menu items. So you have a better throughput of the kitchen. So you can still order your favorite burger, which you always order, but if they don't show it, people usually don't order it. So you see with digital signage and sensors, you can get much more efficiency. Another example, airports. We have certain really large airports where there are a lot of digital out-of-home screens, and the sensors and the database really knows where the plane is coming from. And then they show the most favorite products, which are typically bought by Chinese travelers coming from China or Japanese or Finnish people or so. They even change the lighting condition at the gate because, Asian love it more bright, Scandinavian love more softer lighting. So even these are subtle changes, but they have a huge impact on the bottom line.
Every industry has its own failures. The biggest debate over here is on the cloud-based systems and the cybersecurity. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it has to do with the history of digital signage. When digital signage started, it was mostly a silo installation, right? Everything was cut off, but we're in a different world today. We're 2025, right? Everything is connected, everything is data-driven. So IT security is essential. It's very, very important. And I think that's probably where you are very well positioned because Jio, is a 360 offering, right? So you can help your customers, enable them really to also have, safe and secure digital signage. And secondly, cloud. Well, everything is cloud nowadays, but in the past, many vendors out there, they left on-prem, it was cheaper, but unfortunately it wasn't really secure. So really the future of digital signage is secure and cloud native.
Precisely. So at Jio, our top priority is the security and the global standards. So right from the media boxes to the cloud to the platform, everything, all of have those been built on a manner where we have maintained these standards. What are your thoughts on when these standards are to be followed in the global market?
Well, I think we need to precisely talk about digital out of home, the advertising driven part of digital signage. And there it's important because it's a pretty new media, right? In the past, you know how print works. There has been standards for decades, how to measure, audiences. Same with online, for 20, 30 years, how to measure that. With digital out of home, it's a little bit more difficult because the screens are somewhere out there. Every screen is different and you need to measure, you need to make sure, you need to build trust for new media. And you need to understand and you need precise figures. How many people pass by? What is the opportunity to see? That's very important because you really want to, at the end of the day, sell via CPM. How many, by thousands? How much, how many people pass by this big screen? So standards are very important. And the great thing is there are some global standards. And if India really follows them, because that's already what brands know, I think that's a very simple way and then could be a great success.
Oh yeah, that's where the OMID standards come into picture.
Exactly.
Now let's have a little fun with a rapid fire round. Tell me the first thing that comes to your mind when I ask these questions.
I'm ready to go.
Which country is currently setting the pace for signage innovation?
North America and Germany.
What's the most overused content type on screen?
Videos with sound, which nobody can understand, right? Because it's without sound. Digital signage and digital out of home is always without sound. So just taking a YouTube clip, putting on the screen, forget about it. Doesn't work.
Yes, absolutely. And the weirdest place you have ever seen a digital signage?
In corners where there's no traffic, right? Oh no, there's even one worse. I saw one in a shop window where they put a big sticker on top of the shop window. So it was basically covered. You couldn't see the screen, but it was still running, and it was running 24/7. So I guess that was the most strangest place I've seen it.
And if screens could talk, what would they say to the passerbys?
Here I am, look at me.
Okay, LCD or LED, which team are you on?
Oh, there's not either or, both. There's good business reasons and good locations where LCD makes sense. And the larger the space is, the more people pass by, then LED makes sense. It's not either or, you need both. And to be honest, there's even more. There's e-papers, there's new technologies coming. So I think that's a great thing about digital signage. It's not one or zero. You have different technologies for different use cases for different locations.
Well, during our rapid fire round, you spoke about e-ink, right? So now when we talk about e-ink, we're talking about sustainability. Sustainability is something which is the heart of the conversation as of today, right? Everyone is talking about global warming and everything. Now, what are these new innovations actually that, can help with sustainability in the digital signage space?
Green signage is very close to my heart, I must say. It's very important. It's not only technology. It's, maybe not using an external player, but using the built-in SoC player. You save 70 watts already, because, everything is included in one player. You can maybe ship it, more screens at the same time, not ship every screen separately, but ship it with one truck, maybe even use battery powered trucks, electric trucks, right? That reduces already. The challenge with digital signage is 70% of the CO2 emission is during operations. So it's really, how can you operate digital signage more efficiently? Turning off screens at night. If nobody's there, please turn it off. Not stand by, turn it off completely. Adapt brightness, very important. We mentioned it before, right? If it's dark outside, screens only need 20-30% of their brightness, right? Not 100%. That's where you can save a lot of energy. Especially with LED and LCD, brightness is one of the biggest contributors of power consumption. And then also reuse them longer, right? Even if you have a premium vendor and they want to have new screens every 3 to 5 years, the screen is still good enough. Use the screen and give it another customer, maybe in a warehouse or so, where brightness, it's not so important. So have a life cycle. So a professional screen can run 7, 8, 9 years. Don't throw it away after 5 years. So many, many levers we have for greener, more sustainable signage.
So how has, Invidis really impacted other these customers that you are, working with, and how they have benefited? Can you tell a little bit more about yourself, your Invidis, what Invidis is doing?
Absolutely.
Consulting.
Love to. It's my company. So I founded the company 19 years ago, and we are in this small digital signage market. We have a very special positioning because we're strategy consultants. So we advise vendors in the industry, big display manufacturers. We advise end customers, creating tenders, creating concepts. Because digital signage, there's usually not a digital signage department on the customer side. There's a marketing department, there's an IT department, and we first have to bring them together to really define what do we want to achieve. A screen itself is no goal, right? You want to achieve more sales, more information, more experience. There are various goals, but that's what we do with the clients before we create a tender and then, help them finding the best one. And we also are their trusted partners along the life cycle. Because once you decide to go with an integrator, the integrator tries to sell you left and right things, which may make sense, may not. So we're the trusted partners. And then besides, end customers in the industry, we're also doing a lot of education. The reason I'm here in India is Infocom India, right? So we do a lot of education there. We want to teach, what's best practice, and that markets don't do the mistakes we have done for the past 20 years. And last but not least, we publish a yearbook, which is called the Invidis Yearbook. You can download it for free on invidis.com, and it's called the Bible of the industry. So it has all the ranking of largest companies, the biggest trends and everything. So it's education and enabling our clients to be better.
Oh yeah, I've been following that. Well, since we have almost reached the end, there's a customary question we ask almost everybody who comes here. What's your favorite book that inspires you the most?
I have one special book. The guy is not the youngest anymore, but Richard Branson from Virgin. I'm sure you've heard about him. And I read this book 20 years ago, and it was so fascinating because he failed so often, but he always got up, tried new things. He started franchising his name and his brand and everything. And for me, this was very, very inspiring. One of the books, still, it's 20, 25 years old. It's still a book which is really close to my heart.
Florian, it was really refreshing and very lovely having a conversation with you. Thank you for joining us on this show. It was very nice to have you here.
Well, thanks for having me, and I really enjoyed it too. Thank you.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning into IoT Trailblazer Podcast. Until next time, stay connected, keep your eyes on the display, and keep your curiosity on full screen.